pastas, now we're going to do a dish that I'll use fresh pasta for. But first let me tell you a little bit about fresh pasta. So here we have fresh pasta noodles. You can see that they're pliable, they're not dry. These are the same types of noodles that you would buy later dried out that take longer to cook. The fresh ones though, they cook in just a couple of minutes. So this particular thicker fettuccine noodle that I just showed you says it takes 3 to 4 minutes to cook. For this dish that we're going to make called Aglio e Olio, you want to make sure to cook it about a minute or so less than it says, because we're going to keep cooking it in the pan with some ingredients to season. So the main thing to know about fresh pasta is just do not overcook it. We can always cook it a little longer with a little more water in the pan with the seasoning ingredients, but you can't uncook it, and it's totally inedible if it becomes mushy. So I have my pot of water at a rolling boil. I don't have quite a full pound of fresh pasta, so it's okay if there's a little bit less than a gallon of water, but as I've been showing you, there's about a tablespoon of salt to about a gallon of water, about 4 liters of water. And then one step you want to do before you toss it in is if you kind of shake the pasta, the excess flour that was preventing it from sticking together will go to the bottom of the container. You don't want to put that in there, it'll make a starchy mess in the water. You can see there's a lot of flour left there in the bowl. I'm going to crank this up. We want to get it boiling again because we don't have much time that we're going to spend cooking this. And I'll set my timer. And this one said 3 to 4 minutes, so I'm going to set mine for 3 and probably stop a little early. So let me talk about the dish that we're going to make. So we're going to make Aglio e Olio, which is really garlic and olive oil are the main flavors of the sauce. It's traditional type of pasta from Naples, Italy, and it's most commonly made with actually dry spaghetti noodles. So, it can be made completely with things out of your pantry, and it's just super quick. I tend to like to toss in some kind of steamed or quickly sauteed vegetable, or have it with a big salad or some, veggie-rich side dish, because otherwise it's, oil and starch. But one thing I want to point out is that if you're concerned about pasta's effect on blood sugar, actually having a sauce with some oil or fat in it is going to reduce how quickly your blood sugar goes up from the pasta, because that oil slows down the process of the sugar from the starches being converted into sugars and getting absorbed into the bloodstream. All right, and the other things that we'll want to have here as our pasta finishes up cooking is we'll want to have a skillet. It's okay if we're not using nonstick this time because we will have oil in the sauce. And then I have some sliced up garlic, some chopped parsley to garnish, and this is quick cooking, so we have to have all this stuff ready ahead of time. And then some red chili flakes. If you're looking back at the earlier classes, the sauteed shrimp with garlic is a really good addition to this if you're someone that has seafood. And then, having another plant-based protein as a side or to top this is a great idea as well. Adding protein also helps reduce the impact of pasta on your blood sugar. All right, so this is about done. I'm going to test it. And again, I want it to be a little underdone. Oop, these are really long, long noodles. All right, so I'll just bite. It's a little starchy, but it's actually what we want. Again, we can always cook it more, we can't undercook it. And then I'm going to save a little bit of that pasta water also for the sauce. So like I mentioned, the oil-based sauces are not all oil. It's usually a mix of oil and pasta boiling water. So I'll go drain this and I'll be right back. All right. So now it's time to season our fresh pasta. So my pan is warm. I'm going to get this over moderate heat. I'm going to use part but not all of the oil in the recipe. I like to save a little bit for the end. So you can see we have some starchy water here that was left over from cooking the pasta. That's going to be part of our sauce. So now I'm going to add some sliced garlic, and I have this sliced instead of minced, which is important here because I want to cook it long enough to really season the oil, but I don't want it to burn. And little minced pieces of garlic will be more likely to burn. And I want just little tiny flecks of brown on the garlic, and it's a really delicate balance between getting that little tiny bit of browning on there and it being burnt. When it's burnt, it's very bitter and inedible. So you want to be able to have all of your other ingredients ready to toss in quickly. It will stop the browning from continuing. I'm just getting some little hints of brown here, so I'm going to add my chilies, and then you leave those in there a long time and start breathing in and it'll make you cough. Oops. And so one thing you want to be careful of is if there's a little bit of water left on that pasta, it will go into the pan. So you want to stand back, maybe grab it with your tongs and put it in. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add in some of my pasta cooking water now. I'm going to add a little more. You can see I'm adding little bits and then stirring quickly. I'm going to add a little more oil. And that's helping to, that starch in the water is helping bring together the oil and the water to make a sauce. So you can see that there's like a nice creamy sauce. It's not separate water and oil, and that's exactly what we want. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the heat and test it. So don't want to overcook it. I think it needs to cook just a smidge more. Like I said, you can always cook it a little bit more, but you can't uncook it. So I'm just going to take a little bit more of that pasta water I have. And that should be just about perfect. If you did want to add any vegetables to have it be more of like a primavera type dish, you could add them now. You'd want them to be already cooked. And then the other thing I want to do is I want to add just a couple pinches of salt. There's some from the pasta cooking water, so you don't have to add much. And then also just a little bit of fresh black pepper. Totally optional there. Okay, and this is ready to go. Oh my gosh, I wish you could smell this through video. It smells amazing. So delicious and garlicky. Obviously this needs just a little bit of a hit of color, so I have some parsley. I'm just going to put a little sprinkle there, and you have your aglio e olio made with some fresh fettuccine, and you just can't get more Italian than this. I hope you enjoy it.